Hi, my name is Muhammad Malik. I am the incubator manager for a social fintech incubator, and I'm also the co-founder of Towards Faith, an education company aimed at Muslim millennials and Gen Zs. So our journey Towards Faith began with the simple question. It's in this world of distraction that we're living in, of instant gratifications and notifications, how can we get some stillness? How can we get some alignment and spirituality in our day-to-day lives, and particularly with our shared tradition of the Islamic faith as well, in the light of that. And there was so much that we could do and so many things that we could tackle, whether it was kind of, addiction to technology, or whether it's just having moments of stillness in our day and how to kind of, be purpose-driven. But for us, what we landed on was the month of Ramadan, in which, people in the Muslim tradition are naturally inclined to being their better selves, and they're kind of, doing all the amazing things. They're giving in charity. They're kind of being good to their neighbors, those ones that they had a bit of a bone to pick with prior to Ramadan, and they're, doing the best that they can, and they're spending a lot of time in spirituality and cultivating that. So for us, it was, how can we allow that to be an insight for people to better themselves, and that was in the form of a digital app that we launched in 2015. That then became a user-driven journey that we took, people essentially took us on to help them develop something outside of mobiles, outside of the digital realm, outside of this realm of distraction, to then something physical. And that was in the manifestation of that was a productivity journal for the month of Ramadan. And the journey went even further away from Ramadan throughout the whole year. So in terms of idea generation, right, when we're talking about a business idea, what we're really talking about is a problem. And problems are all around us. We don't have to really think about it. They hit us in the face a lot of the time. A lot of founders actually talk about their own lived experience, which is incredibly powerful. That is, what are those problems that you're facing in your day-to-day life? Why are they so particularly pertinent for you? Unpack those problems. Sometimes an exercise like a day in the life really help doing that. So imagine a day in your own life, or in the life of a particular segment of society that you feel so passionate about. The day from the moment that they wake up in the morning till the time they go back to sleep, what are those problems that they're facing? Unpack those and try to interview such people and try to really gain a grasp, a good understanding. And that's where kind of grounded innovation comes in. Grounded innovation doesn't look into kind of blue sky thinking, that is, imagine a world where Bitcoin and blockchain and all this can do X, Y, Z. We already have a world with so many real problems. So let's look at our world and what problems we have, and then look to those people that have lived experience with those problems, and even better if an expert in those problems, somebody, a super user we call, that has the that has the knowledge and experience of thousands of end users. Leverage that knowledge in order to sit with the problem, and that's your most powerful source of problem generation. That is literally being problem-centric and imagining a day in the life of somebody that is living with that problem. So when having a big idea, you essentially, it may come to you at a eureka moment when you're in a shower, and an interesting thing about showers is, that obviously quite conducive to thoughts and big ideas. It's a brilliant thing to think big, but at the same time, it's really, really important to test, right? So that high aspirations that you have, whatever it is, the big idea that you think will disrupt something, get into testing, and even before testing, get into instantiating, right? Instantiation is probably the biggest thing that I've seen sets apart, the high-performing startups that we see in our incubator versus those that may go into different, pivot into infinity, as one of my colleagues says. So really, what's really important is whatever idea that you have, how big it is, get pen to paper, try to put it down, It could be as small as kind of like, a wireframe. It doesn't have to be a wireframe. It could literally be just some bullet points, a picture of somebody going through their day, a product or whatever it is you're doing. Try your best to instantiate that. So instantiation is so key to allowing your problem to transmit from your mind into the mind of those that you want to bring on board. When is my idea feasible? And what I love to bring in this discussion is the idea of a minimal lovable product, right? So you might have heard of the MVP, the minimal viable product, but really going beyond that to something that is lovable, that has stickiness. What are the minimum features I ought to add into this app, into this website or web app or whatever it is, to allow for it to be loved, such that those users, or your beta testers or whatever they are, would love to come back and use it in their day-to-day life, or not just feel like it's a viable solution, but I'll put it to the side because I don't really enjoy the interface, nor do I understand the brand. So that's where I like to make the distinction and go beyond just viability into lovability, if that's a word. So when you've got that big idea, whether that eureka moment, essentially one of the first things that you should do is look as to your ecosystem, as to who else is out there that had a similar eureka moment, maybe several years before you, that is already, a team or a certain individual that is already developing something. So research is really, really key to understand, to make sure your efforts are worthy, right? And there's no duplication of efforts. And really, if you're passionate about this particular problem, you'd be really happy to know that there's something in development, and you can actually reach out to them potentially to join forces or just work with that problem solver. So really, the importance of doing your desktop research before going out and before networking and things like that, so that you know what the competitive landscape is, so that you know what to do when it comes to honing in your solution. It might be the case that you've seen something out there that is trying to solve what you're doing, but you have a better way. You have a way to kind of do it in a much more efficient and scalable way. So that's when you know that your business case may be worthwhile investigating. So it's a really, really important first step. So some of the biggest kind of barriers in terms of ideation is, I like to call unknown unknowns, right? So a lot of entrepreneurs, they know their lived experience, they know what they've faced in life, and they know about certain technologies or certain tools that they're used to. But then there's so much out there in terms of collective experiences, charities, technologies, and people that need to leverage. So in order to unlock and understand those unknown unknowns, it's really, really important to leverage expertise, right? And again, I talk about grounded innovation here a lot, but one of the principles is that when you've tested enough, or when you think you've got a solution, go deeper into that solution, right? Einstein said something quite pertinent. He said that there's no difference between me and you. It's just that I sit with the problem longer than you do. So really kind of, unlocking that inner Einstein, that inner genius, by just spending more time with your problem and leveraging expertise that will highlight those unknown unknowns that you don't know. So really going into the ideation, realizing that this is what I know, but there's going to be a breadth and depth of stuff that I don't know, and I need to leverage the right people to get me that knowledge. My top tip in the ideation stage is to be zen with it, right? Be absolutely zen with your idea. Like, don't be wedded to any particular solution. Be focused and laser focused on the problem, right? Such that you're living and breathing with it. You're, sitting up and going to sleep with your problem, and you're also leveraging expertise within that domain. You're online, you're on, websites and all that, figuring out digital watering holes. Where do those people that have that problem sit? And you're speaking to them, you're absolutely engrossed. And if you ain't engrossed, this problem ain't for you. I'll talk to you.